All right, good afternoon, everybody. We're going to give people about 1 more minute to come on in with us. This is Dr. Robinson. Good afternoon. I hope you all have your lunch with you handy. If not, I hope you had your lunch already because it's 12 noon. So make sure you get something into the soul to get you fed for the rest of the day. And we're going to give people about 1 more minute and then we're going to go ahead and get started. But thank you all for popping on with us. All right, folks, good afternoon once again. We're going to be respectful of everybody's time. Thank you all so much for joining us for another wonderful brown bag lunch. We try to do these at least once a month where we get together during the lunch hour just to see how everybody's doing, to touch base with whatever the hot topic is that people have questions about. And this month, for the month of May, the big focus is all about business plan and business plan development, because what we have found out is quite a few business owners are now attempting to apply for grants as well as loans. And one of the big things that they're running into is making sure that they have a good, solid business plan foundation to support whatever it is that they are seeking. So last month, we talked about capability statements and the need for them and exactly what they are, because a lot of people were unclear. So from that, more questions came through revolving around business plans, the traditional business plan versus a Canva, a lean Canva business plan, and what makes them so unique. So needless to say, we decided to go ahead and put together a quick little presentation that centers around business plans, just to give you all a little bit more guidance, answer any questions that you all may have, which is not uncommon for us to do. So thank you all once again for joining us today, and we hope that you have an excellent lunch handy as you're joining us. And I do have more people that are slowly trickling in as well. So if you hear a little bing, just pay that no mind. That is just somebody else hopping on as well. So thanks once again for being here with us. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about business plans. And just the plethora that is attached to them, and who looks for them, why are they needed, what's the whole point behind them, like really. So so back in the day when businesses were actually seeking funding, they had to, in essence, prove that they actually were worthy of the funding that they were seeking. So if you went into a bank and you asked for, $100,000, you had to have some type of tangible document that you will walk in there with to show them that it makes sense, right? So if the bank was to give you this $100,000, in essence, what it would be used on. So the who, how, what, when, and where gets answered. It gives them a better understanding of when am I going to get my money back if I actually go ahead and sign off on this loan. Well, as we have evolved and the world of business has evolved, your standard business plans have evolved with it. So we still have a plethora of places, financial institutions that seek out the more traditional business plans, which are like 30 to 120 pages long. They are very, 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 very detailed. But you also have situations where it is a perfectly scalable business, and something as simple as a lean canvas business plan works perfect. And I'm going to show you an example of both, because one of the questions that I have on my handy dandy little list that I wrote down was about what is the difference between your traditional business plan and then what is known as your lean Canva business plan. So we're going to talk about that as well. Okay, so with that being said, let me see how good I am working off of two screens. Okay, so hopefully when this is over, you have a better understanding of business plans just in general, and then the difference between the main two that are well known, and then whether or not you need one. And I'm going to pause right there because that's another big question that a lot of people run into. Sometimes you're in Facebook groups and somebody puts a post and it says, hey, who does business plan? And it never fails. There's always that infamous person that pops on like, you don't need a business plan, just get the money that you need type of deal. So one of the big questions that always comes to the forefront, particularly with minority businesses, is, okay, so do I even need a business plan? So that's one of the things that you definitely want to make sure that you have a conversation with, revolving around whether or not you need one with yourself, if you are the primary business owner, or with your partner. So if it's a partnership where you have other key players that are involved. But there are some ways to tell whether or not you truly need a business plan as a whole, because in actuality, some businesses legitimately, they at that current moment may not actually need a full business plan. So let's talk a little bit about what it actually is. So in essence, it's a summary of your business from A to Z. There is a section about the founders that includes like the resume and rewards. And I mentioned this earlier about the who, how, what, and why. So why did you start your business? Who is your target market? What products or services are you going to offer? What does your marketing plan look like? Any kind of certifications and registrations that you may have that's attached to your industry. All of this gets put into your business plan. So for a lot of businesses, what I have ran into is a lot of business owners are not comfortable with one main section. And I'm pretty sure everybody knows the section I'm getting ready to say. It is the financials, right? The financials scare folk, whether it be for their business or even in their personal life. Financials just as a whole, we run from it when we need to have that tough conversation about it. But that section is literally the bread and butter of the whole entire business plan. And in some cases, depending on a financial institution, it may be the first section that they actually go to find out exactly how are you going to spend the $1.5 million that you're asking for your t-shirt business, right? They want to know, where is this money going to for a t-shirt business that she's going to be running out of her garage at home? I'm so confused right now. So your financials have to make perfect sense for them to get a clear picture of what it is that you are asking for. And then you also would probably hear the words capacity. So in other words, if you are proposing a business plan and it's multi-million dollars, they may want to know whether or not your business has the capacity. And when they say that, they are attributing it to, I'll give you a good example. You put together a business plan for your lawn care business and say it is you and your cousin. Y'all work it on the weekends. You're doing pretty good, right? So you need some new lawn equipment. Makes perfect sense because your lawnmowers are getting a little old. You're using them on a regular basis, wear and tear. So you decide we should go ahead and get a loan because we want to grow and just, become huge. With that being said, you can't create a business plan asking for $500,000 and then within the business plan put that you are going to continue to run the business out of your home and continue to use the truck that you already have. So it's not substantiated and it doesn't show that you're actually working towards capacity. So they're going to want to see something that's going to support the actual request or the ask, as I like to call it. And people will tell you that's one thing that I say on a regular basis. What is your ask? So if you're able to answer what your ask is, you then need to work backwards. So if you know for a fact that you are going to ask for $500,000, write that up at the top of your little notepad, and then you work backwards. So then the next question is, why would I ask for $500,000? How am I going to use it? And as you answer those questions, you'll realize that you're actually building out a business plan. So now when you hand it over to a person in a financial institution or a lending institution, they're able to have a clear understanding of why you need the funding, right? So how is the $500,000 going to be utilized? So with this example with the gentleman and his cousin that's running, the wonderful lawn care business that they have, they built out a solid business plan. They asked for 500 grand, which is quite a substantial amount of money for a lawn care business. But when you dig through their business plan, they have in there, they're looking to increase their team from 2 to 12 and bring on all 10 of those people as full-timers. Both of the people that are currently employed are also going to leave their full-time positions and become full-time up under the business. They're also looking to go ahead and get themselves certified as certified arborists in city of San Antonio. And the classes are going to cost $2,500 for each. And then they have to take the exam, which is another $800. They also need to buy brand new equipment. They also want to get 6 riding lawnmowers to split between the brand new team. They're also going to need to go ahead and get inventory to include sod and flowers and broker a contract with the Maldonado brothers, nursery that's here in San Antonio. So that business plan, now that they're reading the meat and potatoes, it clearly shows why they are requesting $500,000. Oh, well, they're growing from a team of 2 to a team of 12, and all of them are going to be full-time. And they're looking to actually bring in inventory, and they're looking to bring in equipment to increase their sales. And 2 of them are actually looking to get certified as certified arborists. So their training is going to cost in order for them to do that. Makes sense. So you're able to answer that question. So that's definitely something that you want to consider as you're putting together a good, solid business plan. So don't forget to answer the who, how, what, when, and why, so that they have a good understanding. That other side of that equation is, do I really need a business plan? So some of the questions you should ask yourself before you even dive down that rabbit hole is, what are you attempting to do with the plan? So many times I have people, particularly that call on the lift fund side of the house, and they will just say that, well, I was told I need a business plan, but I really don't know if I truly need one. Or I think I need a business plan, but I'm not even for sure like where to start, what I should put in it, how much money I actually need. I have this idea, but I don't know what to do with it from there, right? Who is it that you're going to be handing it over to? That's one of the primary questions that you definitely need to ask. So in other words, are you just putting together a business plan for yourself, which is not uncommon? I've actually done that before. So in other words, it is a plan that gives you, the owner, a clear understanding of where you're headed in like the next, 3 years or 5 years down the road. Or is it a business plan that you're putting together because you're looking for funding, right? So you're handing it over to a banker or a lending institution or a venture capitalist, right? Why do you feel that you actually need a business plan? Maybe you're seeking $150,000 in funding, right? And that $150,000 is going to be utilized to grow your business numerous ways. And you are not going to pull out like your 401k. Please don't do that to fund your business. So the easiest thing for you to do would be to go ahead and look at funding options via your bank. Okay. Do you have all of the information for your plan? That's another big one that we have phone calls in on a regular basis. Owners not wanting to include themselves in their business plan, but yet there's I throughout the business plan. And for the record, remember, your business should be its own entity. So there shouldn't be any I's or me's anywhere in the plan at all, except on one page. And that one page is the actual actual welcome letter that's put together by the actual owner, because it's wrote in first person and then you sign it at the bottom. So that letter will be something to the effect of, greetings. Thank you so much for reading over the business plan of Shay's Dog Walking Service of San Antonio. I, Shantana Robinson, have had 25 years plus of experience of grooming and taking care of animals in the San Antonio city. Right now is a prime opportunity for growth, and I am excited for everything that's to come. Please take a look at my following business plan and let me know your thoughts. Signed, Shay Shay, your dog walking queen of San Antonio. So literally that letter is going to be the only section where it's first person. Everything else after that is all in third person because your business floats as itself. So the only other section where there will be a mention of the owner's name will be the resume section, right? And any team members that are involved in it. So that's your management and organizational side of the house. But other than that, the whole entire plan is wrote in third person. So for some people, the sticking point for them is that they don't have all of the information together for their plan. Be mindful, you don't have to run through a business plan. You never want to try to put it together all in one day because there's so many different components that you're going to run into. So you definitely want to make sure that you're mindful of that. But resumes is a big one. We've had individuals who have resumes that haven't been updated since 2005. But it's 2021, right? So you've evolved and you've grown significantly over the past 16 years. So your resume should reflect that. That is another selling point to show the potential investors or financial institution that you actually have the background in what it is that you're attempting to do, right? So you're not going to be somebody talking about you're going to start up a hair salon and it's going to be built on northwest side of San Antonio and bring in 35 hair techs. And then on your resume that you have, it has that you know, worked at HEB as a stocker for the past 20 years, which is great, but they're probably going to be like, well, what kind of experience does she have in the beauty industry, right? So that's why it's so important for you to make sure that the information is up to date. Having access to banking information, right? That is included in your business plan too. We have actually found that quite a few businesses, this is a stopping point for them because people are still commingling funds. Please, 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 for the love of everything, do not do that. Make sure that your business, even if it's a DBA, has its own separate business checking and savings account for your business. And the reason why you set it up like that is because that business savings account is where you will make monthly deposits to take care of all of your taxes. So when tax time comes around, you're not just looking crazy at the last minute, like, oh my God, where am I going to pull this money from? Because guess what? On a monthly basis, you've had an automatic draft set up that takes care of that for you. Or like me, computer crash. That's not cheap, right? How do you replace that without digging into the main checking account of your business? Your savings. That savings for your business takes care of all of those little expensive things that may pop up. So insurance can get paid via there, computer gadgets, if they break and need to be replaced, your taxes, which is the main one that floats out of that savings account for your business. And if you are a sole proprietor or a contractor, you probably have heard me before on my Thursday events talk about how you should technically have 3 accounts tied into your business. And that is your savings, your checking, and then a personal draw account. And that personal draw account is for my freelancers or contractors. So when you are trying to pay yourself, you literally can just draw straight from the checking account into your personal account. Believe me, it helps you in your taxes in the long run. The next bullet I have on here actually dives into what I just mentioned. Being willing to get naked in order to put a solid business plan together. When people hear the word naked, they go all over yonder. But in this particular case, I'm talking about getting naked as in developing a clear understanding of what your business actually is, what it's capable of doing, and what you're bringing to the table. So not trying to pad the books to say, well, you know, if the pandemic didn't happen, we would have had $90,000. Let's talk about where the business really is, right? So how how much money do you actually have in the checking and the savings? Do you actually have a banker that somebody could actually call? Because we've had investors actually do that before. Business plans have been handed over to them asking for millions of dollars. They're going to call the bank. They're going to want to do some digging because you're asking them for multi-million dollars, right? So that section needs to make sure that it has all of your financial individuals included. So if you are not in a relationship with a financial institution where you specifically have a person's name and email that you can put into your business plan, you definitely want to go ahead and start brokering that. If you don't have a CPA that you can call, or at least a tax service, which also needs to go inside of your business plan. You need to make sure that you get that taken care of as well. And be mindful that you may get critical feedback on your business plan. This is something that happens on a regular basis. So in other words, if you put together a rough draft and say, for instance, you send it to your business mentor, or in some cases, people have such good relationships with their CPA, the CPA will even look it over for you. And they may give you some critical feedback, but take it just as that. It's just critical feedback, and listen to what it is that they actually put into the plan as far as notes, and then see where you can actually find your happy medium as well. And I always like to tell people, are you happy putting your baby in someone else's hands? Because that's what your business is for you. And for some of us, it's a little scary and a little rough. I'm even skittish when I walk into like a bank and have a conversation with somebody about MFAD Creative Group, or call a CPA and have a discussion about taxes and how stuff is ran. It makes sense to me in my head, but for the other individuals, like, yeah, no, now we need to rework that. So sometimes we do need to make sure that we hear that as well. So the big thing that a lot of people are hearing now is the traditional versus Canvas business plan and the difference between the two. So this little slide actually shows you significantly how they're different. Your traditional business plan, as I mentioned earlier, is a lot more detailed. It's measurable because it is broken down, in some cases, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 years out. There's an organizational chart. There's resumes and bios of the owners. You have an appendix that has like articles about the industry that you are in and how it is growing significantly in your respected area. Whereas with the lean or Canvas model, as it's called, it's straight to the point. In some cases, Canvas business plans are this big. Like it's one sheet of paper is a Canvas business plan. And so a lot of business owners love to do Canva because you, in essence, trim the fat and you stick straight to the specific goals and how to get there. But the downside of it is if you ever go to a financial institution or go before a venture capitalist and you present them a Canva model, you have to make sure that you are prepared to answer the questions that may follow, because they no longer have the 35 plus pages in front of them that gives them that detailed information. So be prepared for the questions like, oh, well, I see you want to open up a hair salon. Are you a licensed cosmetologist? Or is this boutique actually going to be strictly with people who have their license and you're just going to own it and they're going to pay you a fee? Well, what are you going to do with the overall breakdown of the $1.5 million if we give it to you? Because it's not on this sheet of paper. So that's the difference. So just make sure that you're mindful of that. So Canva is great if you have a straight to the point business that you're running and you're able to answer those questions as well. I think, what, I have a question. Hey, Miss English.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
I have a quick question. Do you, I know I've asked you this probably 100 times, but is there anyone that can help you write your business plan? I know I'm going to keep asking until you say yes.
So good question. So the question that she just asked, I'm pretty sure everybody heard that. I don't know how many people's on here, and I'm on Facebook Live as well. So revolving around your business plan, if you run into a situation where you get stuck, or in some cases, we've had business owners where they just like, I'm not writing my plan. I'm not trying to do it. It's just too much. I got a full-time job. I'd rather have somebody else take care of it for me. Happens all the time, not uncommon. You have options. So you have SCORE, which actually will help you with your business plan as well. Now, writing the whole thing out, they're not going to do that, but they will take what you have and they will give you a refresh and some updates revolving around how to get it to where it needs to be. With the WBC, we actually do the same thing. So we don't, in essence, write business plans for business owners, but we give them guidance and feedback on some of the things that they possibly need to include, maybe miss, grammatical errors, sections that they skip, rewording. And we even have templates that was created that we send out to business owners as well that they can use to finish off their business plan. Now, for those of you all who are out there who are not my WBC clients, you all know that I do business plans for you all as well, but it is strictly for business owners who are not part of the WBC or the SCORE side of the house. And that does have a fee that is attached to it as well. So there are some individuals who can take care of it for you. It just depends on how far down the rabbit hole you want to go with the information that you have. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, she's shaking her head. Okay, good. so, so there are means and ways, but just be mindful with some of the resource partners because of conflict of interest. If they're up under contract, they can only do so much. So make sure you have a conversation with anybody that you decide to work with, whether it be someone from SCORE, the WBC, or the Bexar County SBEDA department. That is a long acronym to verify that they are able to assist you as well. And another question I have that has came in, I'm sorry, I'm reading via Facebook. Oh, the average price. So with the business plans, depending on who it is you go to, you may find some people that go by the page. I've seen business plans that are $5 a page. I've seen business plans that are $20 a page. Once again, it depends on the depth that you want to go into. You also have people that do ranges. So in other words, they'll tell you the low end of their business plan is $750. The expensive higher end of their business plan is $6,000. Once again, it depends on how far down the rabbit hole they're going to have to go. Because remember that target market segment of your business plans, particularly if it's a traditional business plan, can get a little hairy and sketchy depending on how much research is involved to actually support the actual business or industry that you're looking to target. So definitely keep that in mind as well. All right. So here are some examples. I have a traditional business plan. Oh, wait, there we go. And some of the actual components. So you're going to have, of course, the business plan itself. There's balance sheets information. There's marketing concepts that's in it. And I am going to show you all one. Give me 2 seconds because I thought I had it open, but I guess it closed on me. See what I have on here. And I will show you all what it looks like. Templates. And just make sure you're mindful when you're putting together your business plan. There's so many different components, and don't get bogged down because that's something else that happens as well. People get a little bogged down with business plans because sometimes they can get a little scary and hairy. Believe me, trust me, I know. But you definitely want to make sure that you start, and that's the main thing. So it's opening up right now. So it's moving a little bit slow because I have Grammarly working on my computer as well, 24/7. So it takes a little while to feed in. So I'm going to stop this share and then I'm going to show you that as well. All right. There we go. And share. Okay, so this is a business plan template, and I can actually send it to anybody that would like a copy of it. But this is the business plan template that is utilized by SCORE, which I just mentioned a while ago. And as you can see, it has information on here, as they call it, the narrative that you would use to put together a business plan. Without the information from the business owner in here, it is still 28 pages. So that tells you a little bit about it. As you can see, they have sections broke down as far as the executive summary, your general company description, products and services, operation plan, personal financial statements, startup expenses. So all of that is included in here in the proper order that is to be presented, because that's something else that we run into on a regular basis, is like, is there a specific order? Technically there is. Your finances and all of that should be the last thing that's part of your business plan outside of your expenses, and then of course your appendix gets left at the end. So if you would like a copy of it, please let me know, and I can actually send it. Oh yes, I can actually send it to you as well. So this is the executive summary. And we put in here, or should say, because this is from SCORE, SCORE put in here some of the things that they believe you definitely need to cover as well. And then they asked the questions that I had just mentioned. So as you can see, general company description, they actually open it up with, what business will you be in and what will you do? It sounds crazy, but that's literally how it starts off. Your mission statement, your philosophy, all of that gets put in this section, and it's clearly labeled to include it as such. So this is a traditional business plan with all of the nuances and included in it. I tell people all the time, putting together a business plan is one of situations where you have to take time out of your day, block off some time to just look it square in the face and scribble it out first before you go any further. So that is your traditional plan. Okay, so with that being said, the Canva is the other one that I mentioned as well. So I mentioned how they are a little bit different earlier, and this is just a slide to actually verify what I said. So it focuses on the problem and solution just as a whole. So in other words, trims out all of the fat as well. So you want to be mindful that if you choose to use Canva, which you can, that you have all of your ducks in a row and it makes perfect sense. And here is an example of what a lean canvas would look like. This is a really good example of one, and literally it is one page. This is actually what the document will look like, including the boxes as they are presented. So you start off, which will be on our left-hand side with the actual problem. You then scroll to the right to the solution, and you just continue to go to the right until you're at the very end. But this is a traditional lean canvas and what it actually looks like. And this one is for a dog walking service. I got a thing for dog walking services, I guess. And I don't even have a dog. It's the most strangest thing. So when it's all said and done, I always tell people nobody knows your dreams and your desires better than you. So you definitely want to make sure that you find a strategy that works solid for your business, because you're going to hear oodles of people that tell you 99 different ways of how to either A, put together a business plan, or B, you don't need a business plan, or C, pay me $3,000 and I'll put together one for you in 24 hours and you get it. And it's literally 2 pages of fluff that has nothing to do with your business. Your name isn't even on it for your business. That's a little scary, but it has happened. So definitely make sure that you take that into consideration. And I'll also say this, speaking as someone who has wrote I don't know how many business plans for business owners. You have to be prepared, and I cannot stress this enough, to have those hard conversations. One of the businesses that I actually, or I should say potential businesses that I spoke with back in March, I had a conversation with them, and this is not the first time that this has happened, but after talking to me, they actually told me at the end of our consult, you know what, we're not ready yet, so we're going to come back in about 4 months, because you brought out some stuff that we had not even thought of before. They were like, and it was a partnership. They were like, we need to meet, all three of us, and answer some of these questions that you just gave us before we even attempt to go any further. And I can tell you a little synopsis about them so y'all get a clear picture. So they are attempting to open up an upscale soul food catering service as well as restaurant in the Dallas metro area downtown. And they told me I could tell people this because it literally, it's not like it's uncommon for soul food restaurants, but what they're running into with their restaurant that they're putting together is they hadn't factored in the different costs, right? So the great concept, great idea, but I asked them questions that they honestly had not looked at. Like they hadn't even looked at the cost of square footage to even have a space down in downtown Dallas. So how can you come up with a budget and a dollar amount for your business plan when you have not done the footwork tied into it, right? So they didn't have a realtor involved on the commercial side of the house. I asked them about the location they were looking at. I said, okay, but did you factor in parking as well? Because y'all are talking about downtown, right? So are you looking to potentially rent out a space where parking is going to be included in part of your lease agreement? Like, the 20 spaces right outside the building is strictly for your clients? Or are you going to broker a deal with the parking garage that may be across the street from the location that you may be looking at? All of these questions are important. And then with the equipment, you want commercial utilized equipment. Well, that's build out. So with the space, if you find a space that hasn't served as a kitchen before, you're going to need a lot more funding than if you were to find a, older restaurant that already has a full kitchen that just needs brand new equipment in place. The build out cost is going to be different. So these are things that you definitely need to make sure that you are aware of when you talk about putting together your business plan. Now, do you have to put together your plan and have it down to the fact that you're putting $2.99 per spatula and you're buying 12 and then give a total? No, you don't need it that specific. But for the large dollar amounts, you definitely want to make sure that you have a clear understanding of what you're walking into. So different sides of town are going to have different price points, as crazy as it sounds. Also be mindful too that the cost of wood has went up significantly. So if you're looking to literally build from the ground up, that price point is a lot different than it was last year. Wood has actually went up 4 times the market value of what it was. So when it was $3 last year, it's now 12 this year. So definitely make sure that you are aware of that as well. That is something to be mindful of. And also, I want to put this as I tell in this, there is nothing wrong with grants. There are oodles of grants that are available. So make sure you jump all over those and you stay afloat about any kind of grant opportunity that is available. Right now, the Helm Project is running and it is doing extremely successful. I really wish there were more female and minority owned businesses that had applied for that because it was completely for free. But I do understand that sometimes, pulling yourself from, if you have a full-time job or if you run a business where you have to be in there, it's kind of hard to pull yourself away on a regular basis as if you was like in school, because that's what that project was attached to. And for some people, they can't do that. So it makes perfect sense. So definitely make sure that you're mindful of that. Take advantage of all those opportunities. And with that being said, I said that we would also talk about any kind of grants that are available. So I will end with talking about that. Big grant, the Restaurant Relief Fund is still open. I'm getting oodles of questions about that. Dr. Robinson, can I apply for the Restaurant Relief Grant? And I'm a bar. Yes, you can. Dr. Robinson, it's just me, but I have like a food cart and I utilize it only at the park on weekends. You can still apply. I'm a private chef, but all I sell is meal to goes, as a personal trainer to a specific amount of people out of my apartment. You can still apply too. Even strip clubs can apply for the restaurant relief grant. I kid you not. And the way that it is worded is that 33% of your sales have to be attached to food and beverage. So even if you are an establishment that has like one main function that isn't necessarily attached to food and beverage, you still can apply for this. Movie theaters is another good example, right? So people go to the theater to watch the movie. But if a movie theater can actually prove and show receipts that 33% of their business actually came from the concession stands, they actually qualify for a restaurant relief fund grant. So make sure that you are mindful of that. And don't forget, for all of my female minority owned and veteran businesses that are out there, and this is on the Zoom link as well as directly on Facebook, that this is the last week for you all to apply before your larger institutions are bought in. So they actually had 21 days, a 21-day window when it was all about you all, just the Swimbies, where you had their undivided attention. But as of Friday at 5 o'clock, the floodgates will open and the money will probably be gone. So you definitely want to make sure that you go ahead and get that taken care of before the larger institutions come in and in essence take away everything. Yes, it is still available. That restaurant relief fund is still available as well. And so it is still available for Swimbies. You still have technically a whole nother month, but you have until Friday to have their undivided attention only. And the reason why I have been a proponent for Swimbies getting theirs in now early is because the SBA only have you all to contact right now. So they're not worried about the franchisee that owns Popeyes, Wendy's, McDonald's, and all of your other larger restaurants and catering services like Airmark that are out there that are literally going to come in and take millions out of this particular fund. They strictly did it with 21 days focused on just those Swimbies because they wanted you all to have an opportunity to go ahead and get your application in. Question on Facebook, turnaround time. The turnaround time that I have heard is people have applied on Monday and funds have dropped by Friday. I kid you not. So we're looking at about 4.5 days for funding to actually end up in your account. Question, if I don't have 941s, can I apply? Yes, that attached to what I just mentioned. Yes. So 941 is when you actually have employees. And the person asks, if I don't have anybody that is a 941, can I still apply? Yes, you can be a solopreneur and have contract workers and apply for this particular fund. But you definitely have to make sure that you have all of your receipts in order and ducks in a row because you will have to upload those as well. Another question, is this done through lending institution? Nope, it is not done through your lending institution. It is done directly through a main portal, and I can actually put it on the Zoom link that they have actually created for small business owners that is attached to this. Give me 1 second and I will share it with you all. So they have a specific link for it. They created a portal. And for those of y'all who were with me from the jump, you probably remember that I was screaming at folks telling them to go ahead and sign up on the portal because you had to create like an actual profile. So the profile system was open like 2 weeks before they even opened up the fund itself. So I was telling people to go ahead and create their profile first. So that way, when it was time for you to actually apply, all you would have to do is go in and just fill out the information. Everything else would already be uploaded into the system because you already took care of it via the portal. All right, so I am sharing the Restaurant Revitalization Fund information with you all now. I will put it in the chat window on Zoom, and then I'll put it in the other window on Facebook. Okay, and also, if you're with me on Zoom as well, I am going to give you all a copy of the SCORE business plan directly so you can download it instantly. Give me 2 seconds. I'll tell y'all, when I'm tech savvy, I'm tech savvy. I try to be. Let's see what I got. Still going. Grants and podcasts. Open the client file, and then I'll pull it out. once again, I thank you all for hopping on, whether it be via Zoom or via Facebook, with me today during your lunch hour so we can talk about all of the interesting stuff revolving around business plans, and answer questions that you had about current grant opportunities that are available for you all, because I definitely want y'all to take advantage of them. As I tell people all the time, when one of you win, we all win. So please make sure that you take care of that. Okay. And give me 2 seconds. I am still pulling up the fun. I promise y'all I haven't forgot. So what happened when you have all these programs open at the same time? There's the live fun one. Score business plan. There we go. I think I got the right one that time. All right. And it looks like it dropped it. Very nice. Okay. Took it a minute, but it went through. All right. So for those of you all who are on Zoom, you now have the link directly to the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, and it is in the chat box. You also have the SCORE business plan template that I just showed everybody. I just sent you all the direct link to it in Microsoft Word, because literally all you have to do is go in and work out all of the templates. So in other words, you just delete that out and then fill in your information after you answer the question. And Facebook got it. And they sent a message, says, thank you. Yes, you're welcome. Not a problem. Fabulousness. Okay. All right. Oh, I mentioned also another grant. Somebody told me, yes, I did. And this is what the page looks like on here. Because somebody asked me, what does a page look like when you open it, to make sure I'm on the right site? Okay, so this should be the page that you see when you're doing the Restaurant Revitalization Award or Fund. It goes by both titles. You can go directly through the SBA's main website, but it will carry you over to this one. So make sure you're mindful of that. Can you go over WOSB real quickly? I know this wasn't part of what you said. Okay, so someone asked about WOSB. WOSB is woman-owned business. That is a woman-owned business cert. So a WOSB, woman-owned small business, is a cert that you get via the SBA. It is different than a WBE, being that the Women Business Enterprise is the one that most people in San Antonio are familiar with, that's done through your regional certification agency. So think of it as one is on the federal level and then the other one is a little bit more on the local level. If you are looking to potentially do large government contracts or get involved with, say, like the 8A program, which is huge on the government side of the house, then you want to be WOSB. And no, there is not a fee, because it's something else that is starting to become rampant. Quite a few people are coming to us and saying that they paid for their certs. Your certs are free, right? Your WOSB, there is no cost. Your AABE, WBE, your hub zone, there are no fees attached to any of those certifications. The only time you will hear people say that there is a fee is if, for instance, you get your hub and then you want to be part of the CMBL, which is a Central Master Bidders List for the state of Texas, which is a directory, and they actually give you that option. It's $70 for that if you choose to be part of that directory, so that TxDOT and other agencies can find you. But it is not mandatory for you to sign up and pay that $70 fee. But your hub zone, WBE, WOSBE, AABE, SMBE, all of those certs that I just mentioned, there is not a fee attached to them. The RCA has one application that you do, and that one application will actually gain you access to all of those certifications that I just mentioned, except the WOSB, which is actually done through the SBA Beta Women Business Owner System, and it's free. Now, I'm going to piggyback it. If you decide to go with a third party, so in other words, a person who says, hey, I can do your search for you for $500, that $500 is going directly to them. So in other words, maybe you don't have time, you don't feel like pulling all of the paperwork, so you hire somebody to take care of that for you. So then that fee will be going to that particular individual. It is not going to the actual agency because there is no fee of those. May I have all of those certification acronyms I need? Oh, okay. So, because there's quite a few. So the hub is your historically underutilized business. And in most cases, if your business is minority owned, female owned, or veteran owned, it will be considered hub, but it does have its own cert. So it's a historically underutilized business. There is a chance that your business could be what's known as hub zone. What a hub zone business is when it is a historically underutilized business that is actually located in a historically underutilized area. So if you're in San Antonio, which is where I'm at, the historically underutilized areas here is majority of your west side, majority of your deep east side. So think of median income levels, and then that will tell you in most cases whether or not your business is physically located in a hub zone. However, when you apply, they do actually ask you for the zip code of your business location, and it will actually check when you put it in and hit enter, and it'll say hub zone qualified or not hub zone qualified. But that's what hub zone actually is. The AABE is African American Business Enterprise, and that is done through the RCA, also known as the South Central Texas Regional Certification Agency. That's a tongue twister. But yes, we call it RCA for short. Okay. And they are the ones that not only do your AABE, but they also do your HBE, which is your Hispanic Business Enterprise, your ABE, which is your Asian Business Enterprise, your MBE, which is your Minority Business Enterprise. And then they also do WBE, which is your Women Business Enterprise. And is that MBE the same as the one from National Supplier Diversity Council? I'm already shaking my head because I knew where that question is going. Okay, so person just asked me via Facebook, the MBE that I just mentioned, is that the same as the one that you get from the National Minority Supplier Diversity Council? And the answer to that is no, sir, it is not. So it's another situation very similar to the Women's Business Enterprise, where you have the MBE that you can get here through the RCA, which I just put in the chat box on Zoom as well as on Facebook, so you all have access to it. Well, there is an MBE cert that's exactly the same way. And the MBA cert that's done through the National Minority Supplier Diversity Council, which I'm a proud member of, yes, I am, is a completely separate cert. And that is one of those certs where there is a fee that is attached to it because it is on the larger federal level side of the house. So your traditional MBE through the RCA is completely for free. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. However, if you are looking to get larger contracts, say for instance, like I had a one-on-one meeting with Dell, I had a one-on-one meeting with Facebook. One of my larger contracts that I just got came from the National Minority Supplier Diversity Council, which is a long title. It all comes from the stakeholders briefings that they have on a regular basis for their MBEs. So there is a fee for their cert. Their cert is $300 annually. And yes, you can write that off on your taxes before somebody asks me that. So you can write that cert off on your taxes. Does everyone need an MBE through them and to pay that $300? No, you do not. So like if you're a hairstylist or a barber, it probably wouldn't behoove you to get an MBE through them and pay that $300. However, if you are a hairstylist and say, for instance, you're making your own hair products, right? So your own shampoos, conditioners, body butters, and whatever else, you're coming out with your own product line, you definitely need to pay that $300 and become part of the National Minority Supplier Diversity Council, because one of their biggest contracts is Target, and Target is running a founders circle, and I put this in all of my groups, and that founders circle, they're actually pulling minority businesses from the founders circle who are MBEs to get products on their shelf. So if you have that side of the house as a stylist, then yes, you definitely need to make sure that you are part of the program, because you can possibly get your product on the shelf of Target, which is one of their big corporate sponsors that's part of the MBE program. And Dell is another huge one who has flat out told me that when they broker deals with their vendors, they only work with MBEs that are part of the National Supplier Diversity Council, because you become part of a huge directory. So that is actually one certification that I tell people on a regular basis to definitely take a look at. There is a fee that is attached to it, but in this particular case, that MBE is worth it. The other cert that I mentioned was the VBE, and that is a Veteran Business Enterprise. And then you also have the Economic Disadvantaged Women Business Enterprise cert as well. So I hope that helps, because there are a lot of them that are available to folks. The good thing with the RCA is that that one application at the very end of it, they just have all of them listed and they're spelled out completely. So you'll just check whichever one applies to you. So if you're a woman-owned, African-American, if you're a veteran, you just check all of those boxes, and then you just upload the documents to support. So like if you're a veteran, you're going to need a copy of your DD-214. For female business owners, and say you're female and you're Black like me, I had to submit my birth certificate and a copy of my driver's license that clearly shows I was female as well as African American on my actual birth certificate, because they're going to want that as proof that gets uploaded. And they do give you, I think it's 60 days to do the whole entire application process via them. But once again, be mindful that it is free, but there are certain individuals that I am aware of that actually will do it for you, but they charge you a fee. But I tell people all the time, you might as well do it yourself, because they're going to turn around and ask you for all of the information in order for them to upload it, your birth certificate, your DD-214. And some of that stuff is just private information that you may not necessarily want to have extra hands involved in, like your tax records, your birth certificate, your DD-214. You may not want someone to just have access to it. If you decide to utilize a third party, I cannot stress how important it is for you to have an NDA, as well as an operator agreement, to dependent on how it is structured, just to make sure that you are protected. And an NDA is a non-disclosure agreement, right? So that protects you in the long run. You have some type of document that shows proof that this person agreed to keep the information that you gave them private, in essence, right? So if for some reason or another, you know, God forbid, your birth certificate, social security number, something ends up just sitting randomly at their house and someone gains access to it and it's tracked back to them, you now have a leg to stand on, because you had them sign an NDA and they actually violated it. Okay, lastly, I'll go over, because someone asked me about this one, the Amber. So I will show you all Amber Grant, and it looks like it's getting cloudy again in San Antonio. I guess we're going to have Tsunami Gate Part 4 in about an hour. So I'm going to show you all the Amber Grant for women, and screen share Amber Grant, because someone asked me about this one. Okay, so here is another grant. I mentioned this one when we was on here last month. I always like to share just really cool grants with you all. So this is the Amber Grant. This is open to female business owners. It is for for-profits as well as nonprofits. It is a monthly grant, and that's why I think that Amber Grant is so interesting. Now, I will say this, be very mindful that with the Amber Grant, there is a $15 application fee. So don't do this every month. Yes, you can write it off on your tax. It's $15. Just don't go to Starbucks 3 times for the month, for my Starbucks junkies out there, right? Or don't go to the movies, because I know some people are already going back out, living their best life in the middle of a pandemic. Y'all be safe out there if that's what you're doing. Wear your mask, practice social distancing, but save that $15 wherever you possibly can, and then literally feed that into this potential grant and do some digging. I sent the link, and you're going to be able to see some of the businesses that actually have been awarded the Amber Grant, but they do this monthly for a female business owner. So it is a really cool grant for profit businesses as well as nonprofit. So definitely take that into consideration. And then I will show you all one more grant, and then I will be done with that. And the last one I'm going to show you all is going to be the Awesome Foundation, which is just awesome. They have a location here in San Antonio, but they are also all over the world, not just here in SA. So what makes the Awesome Foundation so awesome is that they give out monthly grants on a regular basis. There's no catch. Literally, you just give them a one-page paper about why your venture or your business is awesome, and then they want 3 pictures. That's it. It could be for profit or nonprofit. They have helped people buy printers before. They help people get together t-shirts, but they want to know, how would the money be utilized? Like, what makes your business so awesome that you think we need to give you our $1,000 grant? Question via Facebook: can you apply for that more than once? Yes, you can. So you can win the awesome grant in May and turn right back around and apply for it in June and July. You can apply for it in May and maybe not win and apply in June and July as well. You can also apply at different chapters. So in other words, if you're in San Antonio, you can apply for the one here, and then you can turn around and also apply for the one that's in Austin or in Beaumont, because they're all over. So definitely make sure you take that into consideration. Okay. So with that being said, I told y'all I love to respect people's time. We are literally 1 minute out from 1 o'clock, and this is supposed to be from 12 to 1. My name is Dr. Shantana Robinson. I hope that you all got some vital information. You got to eat your lunch. I see Miss English waving at me. You might be the only one that's on here via Zoom, because I got a lot of people on Facebook, but maybe it's just me and you via Zoom. I don't know. But then I have like 13 that are here on my other screen. That's funny. But wherever you all may be, thank you all for hopping on with us. We try to do these monthly, so don't forget, if you ever want to hop back on, just literally to ask your questions. Next month, I think it's supposed to be about bids. I'm gonna have to check and see my notes because I wrote it down. For those of y'all who are looking to potentially do bidding opportunities on government contracts. Fun times. Don't forget, you all can also catch me every single Thursday as well with WBC, because I host a COVID resource hour. So Thursday this week at 3 o'clock, I'll be on there with right around 70 different business owners every single week. They come with the crazy questions, and we're on it for a whole hour talking about all kinds of strangeness about business owners. So join us for that as well. But thank you all once again for hopping on with me. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm real easy to find. Either direct message me via Facebook, or you can shoot me an email message as well if you would like to have a discussion one-on-one. Compliments of the SBA, not a problem. Okay, party people, make it a great one. Take care of yourself, and practice social distancing if you're going out and about, and just stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye, everybody. Oh, and before I go, make sure you copy down the links before I log all the way out.